Joshua Gillis, and I'm the owner and founder. And I've decided that since we're not being able to really do our treatments and training for the public, that we'd do training and courses so that everybody can, who enjoys it, can benefit from what we're developing here in this center. So this center is mostly based on research and the treatments that we're developing due to this research into what would be the neurosensory motor programming of the human brain, of every organism really, every vertebrate on the planet, and how the development period of the embryo has an incredible effect on our well-being. And the greatest tool that we have of going in there and unlocking all of these different abilities that we have, emotional, cognitive, coordinative, posture, intellectual, relationships, and all this stuff. These are all also hormonal, all the different organs. What we've seen is that the real sort of the spider that's in the center of this network is the neurosensory motor programming, and it's really been amazing following this development that I started when I started learning from Svetlana Mazutova and her courses for learning behavior and different sort of neurological handicaps. And for me and a friend of mine, Tom Stefan from Finland, we've taken it from sort of a laboratory kind of clinical approach to a very simple hands-on approach where we've simplified and it seems even amplified the effects of the treatments. So what we're doing with children that have cerebral palsy and other things that are much more difficult than simply a bad posture is really something special, really amazing. And I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to do movies or films or anything because I like to keep that for themselves. I show what I've done with athletes. We've worked with world-class athletes, champions, different champions from around the world who were injured. And we were able to do for them what none of their physical therapists or sports medical doctors were. And so that's very, very cool. It's not so much an eloge to me as much as the really amazing ability of these different, what I call brain keys, all these different particular movements, and how when we get into a movement, it just wakes everything up and reopens all these different abilities that were, for one reason or another, blocked. And so that's our basic mission here. And today, our course is going to be about breathing, okay? And so breathing is obviously extremely something incredibly important for the human being, where we can go days and weeks without eating and drinking water and everything like that, but just a few minutes without breathing and it's over. There's like a lot of complications around this breathing. For some crazy reason, there's this myth going around that we need to breathe with our diaphragm, and it's just completely ridiculous. And I think, honestly, it was a poor interpretation of what was being told by the yogi guys that were traveling around the world at that moment in the late 70s, early 80s, that basically, I think they took for granted and they didn't realize that it wasn't obvious that you need to also work with your thorax, with your chest, with your intercostal muscles and the ribs, okay? And if you're not doing that, then you're in for trouble. And so my experience, and I've treated thousands and thousands of people, and I've seen a lot of people, even more people training, that honestly, there's not really a big problem with using the diaphragm as much as correctly breathing when you're moving, and also what is the actual sequence of breathing. What is the sequence between, how can we even look at this system of breathing? How can we divide it into parts so that we can then appreciate better what would be the proper breathing cycle? And how also a proper breathing cycle will influence so many other systems, okay? It's just amazing how when we're not breathing properly, what happens to our emotional and psychological state, and also our ability to concentrate, and so many other, so obviously blood flow, organs, and all kinds of stuff start to get into sort of a really bad mechanism, bad loop. And so basically, I've created this this compendium. It's pretty short, that I've developed with some of the best amateur cyclists here in northern Italy, in the Bergamo area here, where when I first got here, I was a skier, a competitive skier in the early 80s, and we learned about breathing and the importance of mental training. Mental training is imagine using your images and internal videos of watching yourself train or actually doing a sport. And so for me, it was something I just took for granted that every athlete did. But when I came here to Bergamo and I was seeing how so many bikers who were coming to me for treatments were all just like really blocked and all curved, and I was like, their breathing system was completely shut down. And these were like bad bikers here in Bergamo are like really good bikers around the world. These guys are strong, and gals too. They're both, men and women are incredibly strong. So I embarked on a discovery because I'd never biked before. And so I put myself on my mountain bike and just started like really pushing myself to extreme levels of aerobic tiredness. And then just seeing, okay, what comes to me naturally. I've been breathing all my life and done a bunch of yoga and martial arts. So I kind of just trusted my natural breathing to just kind of show me what I needed to do in different situations. And so after, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that, 2 months, I had kind of like observed myself, and I had obviously, the cardio pulse meter. So I was getting at home and watching, the barometer. So I was watching my sort of altimeter showing me, the climbs, and watching my heart rate changing and around it. And so I was able to really see what was happening after and also during, because I had it on my wrist and I could watch immediately what was happening to my heart rate. And so basically what I found was that there were 3 basic different breathing techniques that I needed to use. Okay, and as far as biking goes, the most important thing was changing the posture. So only Lance Armstrong has the perfect posture on the bicycle. He's not perfect. He could do a little bit of tweaking on his bicycle posture, but the amazing thing following Lance Armstrong was, you can say what you want about Lance Armstrong and his doping, but there is nobody, and believe me, I'm here in the center of biking world here. You can ask anybody what they know about Lombardia and biking, okay? And there is not one biker that believes that anybody in the World Cup isn't doping. Not even one. Nobody believes it. So I was against some real skepticism for a long time about this whole thing, and I lost. Because I truly believed, and I still believe today, that no matter what you say, everybody was doping. Everybody was doping, but there's one thing that separated Lance Armstrong from everybody else, was his posture. He always had beautiful square shoulders, and when he breathed, you could literally watch his stomach coming in and out. I can actually pull that up. I put together a video. I watched literally, I don't know, 100 hours of different videos, especially in the climbing sections and the chrono. The chrono, because they get in so close and they look so perfectly at one athlete. So I was able to really get some good footage there from Lance Armstrong and his breathing. And there's just no question that the way Lance Armstrong was breathing is still something that you can't even imagine. He's light years ahead of even the bikers today. Although you can start to see some bikers today getting a little bit of abdominal movement, but still not even, I would say, not even a third or a quarter of what Lance Armstrong was able to do when he was breathing, because he was truly using his diaphragm in a way that nobody was. Mostly, I think, because he was able to open so well his thorax. So let's get into this diagram here. Where is it? So let me pull this over here. I call this system Active Respiro. And general So I'll be putting the link to this document under the video, so anybody who wants to download it can download it. So basically, if we think about posture, if we think about performance, if we think about thinking and our ability to to use our brains in the most intelligent way, and also our emotions, there's one thing that we can definitely put where these all come together, and that's in our breathing. Our breathing is such an important key in keeping everything loose, in keeping everything really alert, awake, and active. And as soon as our breathing shuts down, very shortly thereafter, the posture will fail. We're not thinking, our mental focus will suffer, and then we get into all kinds of emotional panic and paranoia and everything. So for really everybody, from students to teachers to world-class athletes to businessmen, women, these keeping our breathing working and understanding well how to breathe and doing little exercises regularly to keep it awake, to keep it strong, will change somebody's life. It will change most people's life, and bring it to a beautiful, deep level. It's something really worth looking at. And so, what is it we're talking about? Obviously, we have two lungs. Okay. What would be our right lung is smaller than our left lung because we have our heart. Okay. And so, from a sports level, and also from a stress level, where we can accumulate stress in the actual heart muscle because it's working so hard, or because of fear or tension. Okay, breathing, just like when people have heart attacks and they do open heart surgery, they give them these really nice breathing exercises to do post surgery to be able to keep the massage. It's like a massage for the heart, because obviously when we're breathing, we're tensing, we're opening our lungs and we're pressing in on the heart, and then we let go. There's a relaxation, and we're pushing on the heart, and then we're letting it go. So this is a really, really nice massage for the heart. Okay, and with the bikers from this area, we've had amazing results with mostly their recovery period. So when they get home, they follow, and we'll look at this at the end, they follow a breathing cycle where they simply need to just do some breathing, something special. But doing it together with some of our NeuroFunk level 1 to get everything back organized, all the muscles, all the meridians back organized, which is a really good way to make sure that your muscles aren't packing in all the metabolism from the training session, and there's not a lot of nervous charge that's remaining in the muscle. We're getting back to the proper muscle tone that we should have, and each meridian is divided its kind of meridional energy, nervous energy, correctly through the muscle system, so we're not overloading any muscles. And so what we noticed is that when we do this off the bicycle, when these guys do it off the bicycle, when they get on the bicycle, breathing comes much more naturally to them. And we've had guys who, you know, are doing the what do they call it, Gran Fondo, which is like a really nice circuit they have here, top bikers, amateur bikers in Italy, and they're improving their times on circuits that are 4 hours or something like that, 3 to 5 hours, and they're improving by half an hour their times within 2 or 3 months of learning just to do this recovery. Okay, I say take 15 minutes less of training on your bike, do the breathing, and you'll be able to absorb your training better and be ready better for the next day training. So each training session, you will have an incremented ability to really push. But you know, nothing is for free. So you need that 15-minute time period in order to after training, in order to cool everything down, get that massage in the heart, cardiac massage going, making sure that your breathing system is working, reinforcing that, oxygenating, getting rid of the CO2 and the other gases, and so cleaning the system out through our lungs, and so that's like just amazing. So basically, there's also some other things when we talk about sort of how the heart actually pumps. Okay, so from an athletic point of view, the heart isn't just simply a displacement pump. So many times people think that, you know, the heart, every time it pumps a certain amount of blood, and then it opens, and then it closes again, and it pumps the same amount of displacement that the heart has moved. So if it closes, you know, 25, 30 ounces, that's how much blood is moved. But there's a Swedish medical doctor who's actually created a heart pump who proved that this is not true. It's actually an inertial system. So the blood actually has its own inertia. And the more the heart starts pumping, the blood starts moving, and we create an inertia in the system. And so the heart isn't actually simply displacing the amount of volume of blood that's being moved, but it's keeping it moving while it is actually already going. So the heart doesn't need to do all that work. It's heavy work, it's a lot of work. But what's interesting is that for us to know that this is a huge possibility for when we're breathing in sports and we feel our heartbeats really getting up there, to do a micro pause in the breath will give you that tension around the heart to help the heart maintain its form while the blood is moving, and giving the heart, instead of just floating there in air, giving it a good background so it can really do some good contractions and without having to do all the work itself in keeping its form. Because the human body moves about 180 beats per minute. It'll be moving about 120 liters, which would be about 30 gallons of blood every minute, and that's a lot. Okay, if you open up your basic faucet in your house, and that would be when it's like really crazy spraying out, you'll be getting 30-40 liters per minute. Okay, so we're talking 3-4 times the amount that comes out of the faucet. That's how fast the blood is going. So that's intense. So when we can help maintain the form of the heart, even if it's just for 1 second, if we can do that 3-4 beats in a row, 3-4 breaths in a row, it's a huge relaxation for the heart. And we've got all kinds of data on that, but we don't care about that right now. That's not what we're doing. So when we're going to bed at night, and maybe it's been a stressful day and we're worried and we're thinking a lot, maybe our heart, if you want to call it, the emotional connection to our heart is all worked up. Taking this breath can really soften our hearts and get them ready to go to sleep. And so it doesn't matter if we're talking about, athletes, or we're talking about getting ready to go to bed, or, stressful meeting, intense meeting, lots of money or important stuff on the line in this meeting, politics, whatever it could be. Keeping yourself cool, keeping yourself relaxed will help you in your negotiating procedures. And so this is a little bit of a secret that maybe today isn't such a secret. But so basically, one of the big reasons, we have our lungs, we have the bronchi, we have the different, what do they call them, alveoli. And at the very, very end, this is where we want to be working, the alveoli. This is where we really want to be working here, because this is where all the good expansion comes from, okay? And so the higher volume of space that we have, the more gases we can exchange, right? The more gases we can exchange in a shorter period of time. And so we're going to be able to oxygenate our body. And that's good, because we get about 10,000 calories every day just from breathing. We eat 2,000 calories a day, okay? But we're breathing from food, but we're breathing 10,000 calories. So imagine if we can boost up our breathing, what that means for our health and our well-being, okay? We're really oxygenating our bodies, okay? So spending a few minutes every day thinking about our breathing can make some big, big changes, because we're doing it all day long, okay? So it's for free. We just need to train a few muscles and get them going, and what's it called? And it'll do it all by itself, okay? So basically, this is kind of a interesting thing where we have basically in different areas of anatomy, physiology, sports, and whatever, understanding of the body. They're dividing the lungs in 3 different areas. The upper lungs, so that would be just under the clavicula and the collarbone and like the first 2 vertebrae, okay? And then we have down to just above what would be the diaphragm. So like from where the sternum ends, that's like would be like where it finishes, okay? This middle section here, which would be like 50-60%, and then we have 30-40% down into your diaphragm, okay? Now This diaphragm is where we can expand, we can get even more out of that. But most people aren't even using this area, so it doesn't even matter to expand any more than 30%, because we're not even getting the basic 50-60% of expansion from our thorax. Okay, so it doesn't even matter really to think too much at this point about the diaphragm, because we need to be using our intercostals, which is like very few people are really breathing well there, and especially here. Believe it or not, it's this upper part, 10-15%, maybe, I don't know, 10-15%, what they say. So where we really get what would be called the psycho-emotional sense of well-being. So when people come to me, like really anxious, like really excited, they're having a hard time getting a good breath, the only thing we need to do is get this area to open up. Once I get them to start opening this area, all the panic goes away. Okay? The breathing, finally I'm breathing again. Okay? So for our psycho-emotional well-being, there's only one little place that we need to worry about. Okay? It's really right there. Because for some reason, it's very much connected also to what would be oxytocin. Okay? Oxytocin is our hormone of love. Our hormone of feeling loved. Our hormone of oxytocin is what makes us feel warm and cuddly inside. Okay? And it relaxes the tendons and ligaments and gives contraction power to muscles. So this is the perfect drug for athletes. Okay? So happiness, smiling when you're an athlete is the most important thing you can do. Because if you can just suck it up and give a good smile and say, yep, that's what I'm doing this for when you're suffering, you are getting so many antioxidants, because oxytocin is an antioxidant. And so that are going around cleaning up all that lactic acid that's coming out, that's being produced from the anaerobic muscle contraction. Okay, so breathing really nice and deep up here. Okay, and then let's call in our diaphragm. Then we can start pulling in our diaphragm down here. Okay, now how much sense does this make? Okay, I don't know. Let's just think about it. Let's go back here. So I want to get as much air as possible into these little guys here. Okay? Okay, I want to get as much air as I can into here. Now, where does it start? It starts up here. Okay? And anyways, if I'm not opening my chest, where are my lungs going to go anyways? My lungs can't go anywhere. So if I'm on a bicycle, or I'm sitting in the office, or on the couch, or whatever it is whatever it is I'm doing, if I'm not open and large, okay, I'm not giving any room to being able to use the volume that I might have in my lungs. Okay, so then if I'm lucky, I have a little diaphragm activity, which most people have a little, because they're so closed up here. Okay, so we want to use big chest. Why? Because it's just like a piston. It's just like a tunnel. If you have a big tunnel, you get lots of stuff through it. Okay? If you have a big piston in your car, guess what? You're going to get a lot of volume of air in there, so you're going to have a good explosion. Okay? Power. Okay? So we can look at our diaphragm as a piston. Okay? So we want to open our lungs. Open. And then breathe in deep, and then for the exhalation, pushing out and pushing out. Okay, first is up here when we're breathing in, and then we suck it down into our abdomen through the diaphragm, and then we contract our diaphragm, pushing it out, and then we let go of our intercostals, and we've done an exhalation. Okay, so this is also really interesting, is that, let me see, is that these would be our ribs, okay? This is what's really crazy, is that when we're taking a breath, so when we're taking a breath, our diaphragm is relaxing, and the vacuum pressure in our abdomen is sucking everything down. So this is our diaphragm relaxing, okay? But our intercostals are contracting. They want to open, they want to close the distance between the vertebrae, and closing the distance between not the vertebrae, the ribs. That opens everything up, pulls up the ribs, and we let go of the diaphragm. And now I want to use my diaphragm. Now my diaphragm is active, pushing out, and I let go of my intercostals. So the intercostals and the diaphragm are working sort of as antagonists. So when the intercostals are active, the diaphragm relaxes. When the diaphragm is active, the intercostals relax. Okay? So this is one of the things that happens mostly when people start to use actively their brain, their conscious brain for breathing, is they get tight everywhere, and so nothing really happens, okay? And so the diaphragm blocks, and the intercostals block, and so it just makes a mess, okay? So basically, a real good breath is, we start up here, opening, and then we get that last piece from our diaphragm, and then we let go of our diaphragm. Actually, we contract that diaphragm, and we just let go of our intercostals. Okay, next breath. Okay, so basically, obviously, it's not one or the other. There's a harmony here. Okay, and so it comes sort of, we go start to open, and then the diaphragm is pulling while we're opening. Asthma and bronchitis and all this stuff is usually, there's an aphasia in this system. So what happens is that the diaphragm is starting to relax before the intercostals open. So we have like a low pressure, a high pressure, and in the middle, it's all of this air trying to pass through very little openings. And it creates, basically, in extreme cases, inflammation. Okay? So simply by doing some good massaging, intercostal massaging up here, okay? If you want, you can even get into figure of 8 massaging, upward and upward and upward and upward, okay? Through the intercostals, relaxing obviously the pectoralis major and minor, okay? Softening them up, activating the intercostals. You can literally cure asthma and bronchitis in literally minutes, okay? I've had it happen like literally in 1 hour, extreme asthma, you know, for a lifetime, with the ventilator always there, the puff was always ready to go. In 1 hour it disappeared. Now that's not usual. That's definitely not usual. Usually it takes a couple months before they can organize all of that. So, but he was a great athlete, dancer, and so his system was ready to go with it. But bronchitis and really bad sort of chest cold stuff, you can really do some amazing stuff simply by massaging, okay, and breathing in a proper way, which is opening and opening, closing and letting go, okay? And so, let me see, semplicemente ci parliamo di, diciamo, un piccolo esercizio da fare. Sorry, now I'm speaking Italian. It's a little exercise that we can do before we go to bed, okay? So it's very simple. When we're in bed, so when we're laying down, let me see if we can see that. I'll go a little bit further down. Okay. Okay, so when we're in bed and just laying down, relaxing, we take a nice breath, okay? A nice big breath. Chest and belly. Pieno. Tutto. Okay? And we hold it for 10 seconds. Relaxing our bodies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we let it go. But here we don't breathe. We just let it go. Now wait 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, full. Making sure you're breathing with your belly, that everything is nice and open. Here, relaxing your shoulders, neck. Okay, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 50. And let it go. Okay, wait 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let it go. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let your breathing go. Just let your breathing go. Just relax. Then we wait 1 minute and we do it again. We can do it 2 or 3 times, okay? And this is an amazing way to relax before going to bed, to really let go of a bunch of mental stress, physical stress, relax the heart, and go into sleep in the most sort of like harmonious way, so that like our body just felt us breathing. We just opened everything up. So when we go to sleep, our breathing for a long time is going to be really nice and big and open, and we're going to be oxygenating our body and recovering from the day. So this is like really a super thing. And this breathing can also be used as a relaxation, a cooling down phase for any training. Doing the Neurofunk, okay, the Neurofunk level 1, and then doing some of this breathing afterward. Takes 10 minutes after training, and it's really going to give you huge benefits. Excuse me. There's going to be some really big benefits that are just like, you just can't explain them. You have to really feel them to be able to truly appreciate what it is I'm saying. Okay? So I hope that you enjoyed this this course. I hope the Italians forgive me for speaking English. And I give you nice big kisses and hugs. And I see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Best love. Bye.